Hey Braves, if you're watching this, you successfully made it through 2020. Congratulations on still breathing. Now that it's 2021, it's time for us to start thinking about the coming new year and how we can go on ahead and make ourselves more successful in it. We all know 2020 was a disaster, and most of us got worse at most things. A lot of us atrophied. I know I got fat. So, what we want to focus on heading into 2021, as you know, COVID's still hanging around and that doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon, is trying to make 2021 a better year than 2020. So instead of going right into science to start off the new semester, my thought was, well, let's go on ahead and make a plan on how we're going to make 2021 better. How are we going to make ourselves better in 2021 instead of atrophying like a lot of us did in 2020? I think we can all agree in one way or another, we are not as good as we were before the pandemic started. A lot of us have lost our time management skills. A lot of us are having a lot of problems with stress. A lot of us are having, well, all sorts of things. It's different for every person. But I know personally my physical health has atrophied. I know my discipline in a lot of ways has also atrophied. Not discipline around my work. I'm obsessed with work. I work way too much. But discipline in other aspects of my life has definitely gotten worse. So I know I'm not alone. And a lot of you sitting there watching this at home are in the same boat as I am. So let's go on ahead and actually put together a real plan for maybe tackling some of those things we've allowed to atrophy over 2020. Seems like a good plan, right? Before I get into that, though, I want to do some housekeeping really quick. Number one, no more semester one stuff. If you made a bunch of mistakes in semester one, that's now in the past. And like everything with the past, you need to learn from it, figure out how to do better, and move on. And that's what we're going to do. Semester one is over. Let's move on into semester two. Each week, I want you to read the week ahead as an assignment. It's no longer extra credit. I'm going to grade that assignment basically by viewing the viewer list on Google. Every time you view a document that I put out, I actually get a notification on Google that says that you viewed it. That's how I'm going to give you your points. You go, read the week ahead, hit submit when you're done reading it, you get points every week. If you don't do that, it will show up as a 0 and it will count against your grade. I'm doing this because I desperately need you guys to read the week ahead. I leave important announcements in there that answer a lot of those common questions that I get in emails. And remember, I'm trying to make my workflow as efficient as possible. And if I'm answering questions via email that I've already put the work forward and answered on something and you just chose not to read it, well, A, that's really frustrating, but it wastes a lot of my valuable time that I could be using to make better stuff for you. Because I haven't been happy with a lot of the things that I created. I put a video out on cell organelles, and that video was about 80% done. I had to just finalize it and put it out as fast as I could. And a lot of you probably noticed in a little skit that I did between the lysosome and the endoplasmic reticulum or the Golgi body, whatever it was, the editing on that was kind of painful. And it could have been a lot better if I had more time. But because I'm spending so much time answering questions I shouldn't have to answer because I already gave you the information, well, it eats up that time where I could be making things better for you. So I want you to read that week ahead very, very badly. It should be the first thing you do every Monday. And because I want you to do it, it's actually worth points, and it will count against you if you don't. I'm not doing this to be mean, guys. I really want you to be successful, and I really want to give you the best possible product I can. So we got to help each other here. So that's what we're doing. And I'm making it worth points, so it helps you out. All you have to do is look at it. All right. Number 3, we are going to Zoom for quarter 3 and quarter 4. So for semester 2, we will be Zooming. I'm not going to do it every week. I might do it every other week at the most, but most likely it'll be about once a month, maybe twice a month, depending on what we're doing. So look at the week ahead each week, and there's a little section at the bottom that says Zoom, and that is going to let you know when we Zoom during the week. I'm only going to have one Zoom time. I'm not going to have a Zoom for every day. So we're going to Zoom a handful of times this year. I'm only going to have it one time when I do it, so it'll be in an afternoon time at some point. It will be worth extra credit points, so that will be your extra credit opportunities. And it will always be something focused on either the goal setting that we're doing today or trying to answer your questions about the content that we have. So make sure you read that week ahead so you know when we're going to Zoom. I will try to remember to email you the same day, just as a final reminder for those of you who want to take advantage of that extra credit opportunity. Okay, That's really it for housekeeping. Let's go on ahead and get into what we're doing. So to our goal setting. We all know 2020 was a dumpster fire. It was a dumpster fire in so many ways. But the thing I want to mention about 2020 is since most of us are home, learning about all the science and stuff that I'm giving you and all of that, well, your teachers have all had to adjust the amount of work that we give you. Most of you are getting half or less of the normal amount of work that you get in a given school year. Now, I will grant it takes a little longer to do it because you're doing it by yourself. But think about all of that extra time that you now have that you're not spending in a classroom doing schoolwork. You basically have about an extra 20 hours a week or so of your life back to you. Now, how you use that has been pretty much up to you to this point. And the one thing I want to mention is that a lot of us have used that extra time really to vegetate, really to atrophy. We're not using it to improve ourselves. If we're not improving ourselves, if we're not maintaining ourselves, well, then there's only one other possibility. We're getting worse in some aspect of our life. That might be our overall mental health. We might be getting worse in, say, our physical condition. Like for me, for instance, I should be about 175 pounds. I'm at 198 right now. I've gained at least 12 pounds since quarantine first started back in Q4 of last year. That's not good. Not only that, my activity, my physical activity is basically zero. I sit at my desk all day. So I'm not moving around. So my cardiovascular health has decreased. And because my cardiovascular health has decreased, so too has my ability to really focus and do mentally demanding tasks. Because believe it or not, your mind and your body work together. And the better your body is in terms of its overall health and vigor, the better your mind will be, and vice versa. So maybe it's certain skills that you aren't using right now that are starting to atrophy, but they're very important skills for when we go back to normal. Things like time management is a skill. It's not just something that's a given. Being able to monitor your own executive focus and limiting your distractions is a skill. A lot of us are now at home surrounded by distractions, and we're allowing ourselves to be more distracted by giving into those distracted behaviors, by constantly checking Facebook, by constantly checking Instagram, by constantly whatever it is you're using, right? So we are, as a society, as a whole, starting to become less skilled. We're atrophying, and we don't want that to happen. So let's change that for 2021. The objectives this week are really for you to create a long-term goal that is personal to you and your purpose in life. I'm not asking you to create an academic goal. If you want to create an academic goal, awesome. That's totally up to you. But some of us are going to go off to be stand-up comedians. We're not going to be academics necessarily. So what I want you guys to focus on as we move ahead is identifying something that you can work on for the next semester that's important to you, that's going to make you more successful in whatever field you want to go into. That's what this whole assignment and project, quarter-long, semester-long project is going to be about, attaining that goal. In order to do that, I'm going to have you break your long-term goal up into 18 steps. Now, you don't have to define all 18 steps, but you're going to have a weekly goal that's aimed at achieving that higher goal, your long-term goal. So your short-term goals are going to be there. You're going to be creating your short-term goals to maximize your overall potential for success of your long-term goal. And really, the main objective of this project is to stop the atrophy and get you to improve yourself in some way. Improve one of your skills, improve your knowledge, improve whatever, to make yourself a more capable, formidable, and powerful individual. Because if you want to be successful in life, if you don't want to be led around by other people, you have to make yourself as formidable as possible. And that means gaining new skills. That means honing skills that you already have. That means improving yourself. If you don't improve yourself, guys, at 15 and 16, and you just stay at that 15, 16 level, you're not going anywhere in life. And it's going to be a rough path for you. So let's go on ahead and make ourselves better. That's the objective of this. So why set goals? Well, as I just said, you're not in your final form. As a high school student, you are here to improve yourself. And by the way, as a 33-year-old, I think I'm 33-year-old teacher, I still have to improve a lot of the skills that I have. I need to acquire new skills to be a more formidable teacher. I'm not perfect, and I'm not in my final form for sure. So we all have to set goals. And if we don't set goals, well, we're not going to know how to make ourselves better. right? Sure, we all have that loose idea in our mind, like, oh, this is something I could do to make myself better at this. But if you don't actually make it your purpose or your goal to achieve that thing, well, then most likely you're never going to get there. You're going to wander around aimlessly, essentially. So having an actual path to success is important in getting where you want to go in life. So if you're not setting goals, again, you're not going to achieve the things you want to achieve. The important thing to note is that no one is born successful. Michael Jordan didn't wake up one day and suddenly know how to play basketball. He wasn't born a great basketball player. He had to set goals, short-term goals. He had to focus, seriously focus on how to acquire the skills he needed to be better than the other guy, right? No one is born successful. No one's born smart. Everyone has to work to improve themselves to achieve success. Every single person who has ever been successful, ever, has had to do that. So, taper your ego a little bit and understand that, well, you're not perfect and you need to make yourself better. We all do, right? So, this brings me into an example. It's reality versus expectation and why we set goals. I use a comparison between Japanese manga and American comics. When you look at the characters in both, you will notice some very, noticeable differences. And one of those things has to do with precisely what we're talking about. See, Japanese characters, your manga characters, they're not born with powers. They're not born as some juggernaut to begin with. And they're generally not given those powers either. Those characters are not born with a gift or an ability. They are born with potential, just like you. That's what they have. Sure, Goku is a Saiyan, so he kind of has the ability to push himself a little further than humans can. Obviously, Krillin being the most powerful human ever, he's a pushover, right? But Goku wasn't born strong. He had to work for absolutely every ounce of power that he had. Same thing for Naruto. Same thing for Ichigo Kurosaki. It took dedication and constant honing of the skills to attain where they got to at the end of whatever series, to defeat whatever, villain or whoever. When you look at American comics, however, and I'm not trashing American comics. I'm a huge Marvel fan. Love Iron Man, love Thor, right? Long hair, right? Okay. So when you look at them, though, those people were all born with those powers. They were all given those powers, right? When you look at Thor, he was born a god. When you look at Spider-Man, he was given the power by being bitten by a radioactive spider. When you look at Superman, he was born and put on a planet where the sun gave him those powers, right? So they didn't have to do anything to achieve that greatness. It was simply given. And those comic book characters, that American comic book characters, their struggle, their story mainly focuses on external challenges. And it creates a non-realistic narrative. Because guess what, folks? Life isn't about external challenges. It's mainly about internal challenges and how to overcome the internal challenges in order to become more successful and overcome those external challenges. For manga characters, the journey is about both the internal struggle and how to overcome those internal struggles so that they can overcome the external struggles. The idea is that you constantly work on yourself to become better so that you can tackle stronger and more difficult challenges, external challenges, down the road, right? Goku started off, well, if we don't include the Dragon Ball series, Goku starts off trying to fight a very formidable opponent in Raditz. But then two stronger opponents are coming along. He has to go do some massive training to get strong enough to face those opponents. If Goku didn't go off and train with King Kai, and he just decided to stick around and fight Vegeta when he showed up, Goku would have been completely obliterated, right? He wouldn't have risen to the challenge. He wouldn't have improved himself in order to achieve that. And if you watch all of those manga series, those characters are constantly achieving new and greater heights to tackle harder and harder and harder opponents. That is life. It never gets easier. You can do three things. You can get worse. You can maintain your current level. You can be Krillin. Or you can continue to make yourself more formidable so that the challenges that you're able to tackle in the future are that much greater. And if you want to be a successful person, if you want to be the next Elon Musk, if you want to be the next Michael Jordan, if you want to be whoever, who's ultra successful, that's what you have to focus on. And to do that, you gotta set goals. Your long-term goals should be focused or built around your overall purpose in life. Now, as a high school student, I understand that's a tall order to try and understand what your purpose in life is. But you probably know several things that you really enjoy doing. Certain things that get you out of bed in the morning. Things that when you wake up every day, you look forward to being able to do. Now, if you don't have anything like that right now, well, now's the time as a 14, 15, 16-year-old to start trying as many new things as you can until you find something that you like. But I'm guessing that most of you at least have a handful of things that you really enjoy doing and look forward to doing on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. Something that inspires you, right? That would be something approaching your purpose. The thing that keeps you up at night and that you think about often. The one thing that really drives you. Well, when we are creating a long-term goal, it's important that that long-term goal, in some way, shape, or form, be attached to your overall purpose in life. And the reason I say that is because long-term goals that don't really have a personal connection to you are the types of goals that people never achieve. It's those New Year's resolutions, right? Oh, I wish I was 20 pounds lighter. That's my goal this year. How did that tie into who that person is, right? It probably wasn't a very meaningful goal to begin with, which is why they didn't put the effort to put a plan together. And if they did put a plan together, they didn't put the effort of actually following through. So it's important with long-term goals that they actually have some real meaning to you. They don't have to be academic. Whatever your purpose is. Maybe you want to try and start making more of your friends laugh more often because you really want to be a stand-up or a comedic actor. Well, that's a long-term goal. It takes a while to make yourself that much funnier, right? So if you don't have purpose with your long-term goals, you're not going to be successful at achieving them. So keep that in mind. So what is a long-term goal? Well, as I just said, it's aligned or approximately aligns with your purpose. It can be, kind of a satellite goal that goes around your purpose, but kind of adds to it, right? It makes you more formidable or better at whatever you're doing so that you can focus on your purpose. Things like yoga and stuff. Well, maybe that gets you to a mind state where you are better able to achieve whatever your overall purpose in life is, right? So it doesn't have to be directly tied into it. It can simply help. It needs to be attainable in a series of months or in the course of a year, right? So we're talking long term, that means several months, but you shouldn't really go any further than a year. Now, if it's a big lofty goal, like I want to be an engineer, awesome, that's great. But at the end of every year, you should at least take a look at how you have improved yourself, where you've fallen short. Basically, you want to reassess your overall goal and your success towards that goal, at least yearly. At least yearly. You should probably do it more often than that. This can be career-minded. It can be health-minded. It can be lifestyle-enhancing, or anything that makes you basically a more formidable person. I keep using that word formidable because I think it really overall encompasses what it is that you need to do as a human being to be successful. Become formidable. Become that person no one wants to challenge, right? Because they know you're the best at whatever it is you do. You're going to bring it your all, right? You've got the skills. You've got the capability. You're intimidating simply because you're so skillful at what you do, right? So whatever your goal is, it should be aimed at becoming more formidable to achieve your purpose. Now, what are some examples? Well, it could be improving your archery skills. Maybe you're really into hunting and you want the most difficult possible way to procure an animal in the wild. Well, that would be probably bow hunting, right? So maybe you want to improve your archery skills so that you can go out, track an animal, and hit it with your bow within, say, 50 yards or so. That would be an actual long-term goal. I want to be able to hit the target 5 out of 6 times at 50 yards. Boom. That's a long-term goal. I want to understand how infectious diseases are transmissible. That's a long-term goal. You're not going to understand that in a day. You're not going to understand that in a week. It's going to take a lot of research, a lot of reading and watching videos and studying on that topic to really, truly, and fully understand the transmissibility of different viruses and how it works, right? That would be a long-term goal. Losing weight is a long-term goal. Being at a healthy weight is really important, especially during this pandemic, because all of the younger people who are actually ending up in the hospital, more than half of them, something like 65%, are obese or morbidly obese on the scale. So being at a healthier body weight is actually really important to your overall health. Now, there's all sorts of reasons why having a healthy body is important for your overall purpose, because an unhealthy body draws power away from this thing right here. So either you're doing something physical or doing something mental. Having an unhealthy body actually reduces the resources your brain can use. It actually makes you less smart overall. So maintaining a healthy body weight, that's a long-term goal, right? Or gaining more muscle mass, again, a long-term goal. You might be able to do, say, 10 to 25% additional muscle mass a year. And 25% is like, those people who are just like way up there, total phenoms. Most of us can maybe get 10 to 15% of body mass of muscle a year. That's as much as we can do. Okay, well, that'll be a long-term goal. I want 10% more muscle mass on my body by the end of the year. Or I want to improve my mental health, and I want to be less stressed, 50% less stressed. I want to have 50% fewer days where I feel anxious. That's a long-term goal. You can go about maybe doing things like yoga and meditation and long walks and things like that to help improve your overall mental health, which will then help you achieve whatever it is your goals are, right? So these long-term goals are all aimed at making you a better person, a more formidable person, and thus a more successful person. So this is what long-term goals are all about. Short-term goals are all about taking your long-term goal and breaking it down into digestible chunks. That's the goal of a short-term goal. The more short-term successes you have, the more dopamine drips that you get. So inside your brain, there's a chemical called dopamine. And generally, when you do something that is positive, you get that positive feedback. Well, that causes a dopamine drip, and that makes you feel good, right? A little bit of dopamine here or there is like a good little pick-me-up. So that's like every time you do something nice and your mom says, hey, thank you, and you get that good feeling inside, you're getting a dopamine drip. And the thing about dopamine is it's one of those things that helps you develop learned behaviors or habits. So your dopamine drip can be achieving short-term goals to make yourself more successful, and the more times you achieve those short-term goals, the more reinforcement you get with that dopamine, and the more likely achievement becomes a habit. The same thing, however, is true if you continue to click on the next thing to binge watch a series on Netflix. You're getting the same dopamine drip. You're getting the same learned behaviors, and you're starting to develop habits that pull you away from your target in life, whatever your purpose is. So it works both ways. It's a double-edged sword. You can either use it as a positive to make yourself better, or you can allow it to destroy yourself slowly. And again, 2020 was one of those years where a lot of people just wanted to sit there and veg out and make bad habits. And the problem with habits is they're really, really hard to break once you have them. So the best thing to do is create good habits and make you more successful. Then it just becomes what you do, and it's not work, right? So short-term goals, it's all about getting that big goal that you're really trying to get to in bite-sized chunks that keep you motivated. And that's what we're going to kind of try and focus on a weekly goal to get you to whatever your lofty goal is this year. The important thing to note is that short-term goals are not the end game. Once you achieve a short-term goal, there should always be something next right behind that one to keep you moving forward. Now, some things that you need to keep in mind when making a goal. So I get it. You guys are already probably starting to tune out a little bit. I'm talking a lot, but this is the only time you get to hear me talk this week. All right, so just chill. But I get it. It's tough taking things like this seriously, right? Your teacher is sitting here talking about setting goals. How cheesy and horrible can this man be? But that particular attitude is precisely why a lot of people never actually achieve those goals. You have to have a positive mindset, and you have to take your goal achievement seriously, because if you don't, you won't achieve those goals. This actually has to mean something to you. The goal that you pick has to be important to you personally, not important to Mr. Clemens, right? Don't go pick a goal that you think is going to make me happy. That's not what this is about. If you do that, you're not going to achieve that goal. If you just write down something that you think I want to hear, it's not going to help you. You're not going to achieve that goal, and we would have wasted all of this time and effort going through the motions. So your goal needs to motivate you, right? If it doesn't motivate you, you're not going to achieve that goal. If it has no personal value to you, you're not going to achieve that goal. If you pick a goal that's too hard, that you cannot achieve in any way, shape, or form, you're going to fail at those short-term goals. It's going to overall make you feel like you're unsuccessful and you're not going to achieve your goal. So you have to make sure whatever your short-term goals are, that they're actually achievable for you in that time period. Right? So it has to be realistic, right? It needs to be measurable. If you don't know whether or not you achieved your goal, you're not going to get that dopamine drip. You need a very defined goal line, right? If I cross this yard line, I get a touchdown. Not, I just keep running and eventually at some point I might get a touchdown, but I don't know how much I need to run really to get there. Like, you can't develop a plan around that and you're not going to be successful. A goal with no plan or direction is like driving around trying to find some place without a map. If you want to get to Washington, D.C., and you don't have a map, and you don't have a GPS device, how the heck are you going to get there? If you have no way of navigating your way through the thousands and thousands of different roads between here and Washington, D.C., How are you going to know you're going in the right direction? And the importance of those short-term goals being definable is because those are the checkpoints to let you know you're on the right path. It's making sure, just like when you're looking at the highway, oh, hey, there goes Birmingham, Alabama. I know I'm on the right track because that was on my path here, right? If you don't have that, you just wander around aimlessly and you never get to achieving your goals. So you got to make sure that you have a plan of attack in order to achieve those long-term goals. So why goal setting works goes back to what I was saying earlier. Basically, you're rewiring your brain using dopamine. And as with everything you do, as you create new habits, these are physical structures in your brain. They're connections, actual neuron connections. And the more you prime that pathway, the more you make those connections work, it deepens the overall habit. So you are creating physical structures in your brain that determine how you behave. And this is with everything you do in life. So if you want to create positive habits that make you more successful, you have to use your own biology as the means to do it.
So breaking up your long-term goals into short-term goals is vital to your success.
And here's how it works. I'll give you a couple of examples. For instance, if I do 25 push-ups every hour while I'm at work, that's 200 push-ups a day. That 25 push-ups doesn't even cause me to break a sweat. But that's 200 push-ups a day that I would not have done had I not have done that. And I will tell you right now, most people, 90% of people on this planet, don't do 200 push-ups a year. So in a day, doing something that's very easy, 25 push-ups an hour, I can completely dwarf most of the population in the amount of exercise I'm doing. And over time, 200 push-ups a day, that's 1,000 push-ups a week. That's 52,000 push-ups a year. How much stronger will I be doing 52,000 push-ups a year? And look, I didn't have to do anything but a small amount of effort just over time. So small efforts add up drastically over time. If I read one COVID report a day, by the end of the year, I will have read 365 reports, real science reports on COVID. How much more will I understand the disease than most people on the planet? By making a concerted effort to slowly gather that knowledge and understanding over the course of a year. You can't achieve those long-term goals all at once. It has to be done piece by piece. Small things add up over time. And that's why habits are so important, because those are small things that add up to larger things over time. We have to create good habits. So for this assignment, we're going to set some goals, some long-term and some short-term goals. We're going to check in every week to see how you're doing, to see if you need to adjust your short-term goals for better success, to see what's getting in your way of being a successful person. And hopefully, we can say that, hey, you had a successful semester. At the very least, you will have improved yourself in a way that means something to you. So take this assignment as seriously as possible, because I'm being as serious as I can. This is important for you and for all of us.
Okay, so let's go ahead and quickly talk about the assignment, because I've already been talking quite a bit and I'm sure you're tired of it. So this is a quick breakdown of what you're doing. First things first, you'll notice right up at the beginning, I have slides 1 through 13. Those are the slides that I used in the video that you just watched. So those are just there for your reference if you would like them to reread any of the things that I was mentioning. I'm gathering most of you aren't going to do that, so it's there just in case. All right, now your actual assignment is on slides 14 through 17. 14 is instructions, basically just letting you know what you'll be doing. And then slide 15 is all about trying to get an idea of what your purpose is in life, trying to get you to think about the things that make you the happiest, right? The things that are going to really drive you in life. So that's what I'm getting at here. I'm also trying to get you to think about your path forward a little bit. So take your time with slide 15. Again, you only had to watch this video and do 3 slides this week. So really take your time with them and give me some effort, because it's important that you think through these things often. So yeah, we're trying to narrow down your purpose. We're trying to get an idea of what your overall outlook is. And the other point of this is to try and get you to think about the steps needed in the future to get where you want to go. So that's what this whole slide is about. Again, do your best to take it seriously. You only got 3 slides to do this week. Slide 16 is you setting your long-term goal. And if you need an example, I have an example on slide 18. of me setting my goal, because I'm doing this with you, and I'm going to keep myself accountable, and I am going to give you guys updates as well on how I'm achieving my goals and so on and so forth, so that we can all share information and essentially, kind of do this together as a support group, because, goal setting and achieving your goals takes work, and sometimes you need help. So anywho, here are my goals. I'm not going to go through them. You can read them yourself if you're interested. But anyways, I give you an example of how to fill this out. Again, setting a long-term goal, trying to define your goal so that you know whether or not you achieved it, like I talked about earlier, and explaining how this long-term goal is going to make you a better person, or a more formidable person. If your goal is to play 3 hours of video games more a week, well, if that doesn't tie into any sort of goal for you, or it's not going to measure, it's not going to make you more successful in the future, I don't see why you would be setting that as a goal, because we're trying to make ourselves more formidable, not less formidable, right? So maybe you're going to be a video game designer and you're doing that for whatever. Well, then that makes sense, right? Okay, so I want you to kind of explain how it's going to make you the formidable person you need to be. And then the next slide is just short-term goals. So you need to break that, think about your overall long-term goal. I kind of gave you some examples previously in the video. Figure out how you can break your long-term goal into basically 18 steps, because there's going to be 18 weeks between now and the end of the semester. So in those 18 weeks, what are weekly steps that you can take to achieve that long-term goal? That's what you're trying to figure out on slide number 17. Now, just like your long-term goal, it needs to be measurable, it needs to be well-defined. And I would really recommend that you look at my example before you fill out your short-term goal, so you can kind of see what I mean by a well-defined goal. So my weekly goal is going to change by week. I'm starting out with this as just being a nice light way to work into a workout routine, because you never want to go like full bore right into it. So the numbers here and the exercises will change weekly. I may make the other things more stringent. I might actually get tougher on myself as I go on, but I am actually giving measurable steps that I can actually absolutely say, yes, I did 25 push-ups every hour for the week. No, I didn't, and here's why. So there's that. I asked you how you're going to measure it. I'm going to keep a tally sheet to make sure that I hit every hour on the hour for my workouts. And anytime that I break one of these rules down here, I'm going to note it. So, and I'm going to note it on the day. So I'll just have a little tally sheet going, basically keeping myself honest, but also so I can track my progress. Because it's pretty awesome if, I can go through at the end of the year and count up all of the things that I did to make myself better and really see how big that progress was. It's nice to be able to count what you've been doing and see how it adds up. So, that's what I'm kind of getting at. How are you going to actually measure this and see that you're being successful? And then finally, how will these short-term goals help you accomplish your long-term goals? So then you can see I kind of explained how my short-term weekly goals are going to get me to my end goal, which is competing again in the different BJJ circuits in the Midwest. I used to compete in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've taken about 5 years off because I've had kids and ran for Congress and did a bunch of other stuff. So I'm getting out of shape. And while I might have been quite deadly back in the day, I'm starting to get kind of sloppy and gross. So I got to make sure I'm back up in fighting shape before I step out on the mats. So that's my long-term goal. And these are the steps I'm going to try to take over the next several months to get there. So, okay, that's literally all you're doing. Once you get these 3 slides done, you're done for the week. So again, take it seriously, take your time on it. Don't rush through this. Don't give me 1 or 2 word answers. Like really, take your time on this, because again, the more you value what you put down, the more likely you are going to be in succeeding this goal. I know it seems cheesy for some of you, but we all have to learn how to do this. So might as well learn it now. All right. With that, guys, I'll see you next week. Depending on what class you're in, we're either going into combustion and respiration and photosynthesis if you're biology, or we're going into simple machines if you're gen science. So you have that to look forward to. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you later.